yards in the first quarter to set up the score. Teddy Woods
Football
on a
is a violent sport. There's guys with, several knee surgeries to multiple concussions, shoulder problems, back problems are a big issue. And you're abusing your body.
Larry Raisley played Division II college football at Slippery Rock University in Pennsylvania.
I know there are times where I'd be just laying in my bed cramping up all night. Wake up the next morning and you can't get out of bed. The brain is probably one of the things that most overlooked but tend to take some of the most abuse, which causes psychological damages, could cause depression, sometimes memory loss. You get into a depressed state and you find other means to cope. Alcoholism. You hear stories of the DUIs, players having to go to rehab for alcoholism or cocaine addiction. I've had a friend commit suicide who I played with in college. It can affect way of life, quality of life. It's definitely a rough sport to play.
Here's Ted Somerville, sweeps around left end. Ralph Heck, number 51, is out ahead, takes out two Oklahoma defenders and one great block. And Ted heads for the sideline. Finally tripped up and spins down on the 17-yard line.
The demanding schedules, the pressure from media and fans, and the physical wear and tear causes the athletes of American college football to face greater mental and physical consequences than their non-athlete peers. These consequences can range from the feeling of a lost identity, physical setbacks, depression, substance abuse, and even suicide.
Off Ellis, left side, big hole, running 15, and one touchdown, and how's that for capping off your career as a Buffalo?
Byron Ellis played running back for Colorado from 2004 to 2007. Byron is currently in medical school at the University of Colorado, Denver, but has witnessed post-football hardships among his former teammates.
I had friends, go back home and just kind of feel sorry for themselves and just sit there and figure out what they want to do. Some of my old teammates get into legal trouble where I think it could have been prevented if somebody showed them the way and showed them, yes, there's more to life after football.
To the 5, still on his feet, and pulls 3 men down to the 1-yard line.
Sheila Ridley is the Director of Student Wellness for Colorado Athletics and works as a psychological advisor for student athletes.
A lot of them still have a struggle that there's no real certainty about what comes next looks like, and so they have a hard time kind of creating a context to put it in. So I think the identity piece is probably the biggest part, and I think the other piece is they have a celebrity status here to some degree, and then they go out into the real world and they're just like everybody else. They're sort of socialized and taught to think very black and very white, in, out, up, down, good, bad, win, lose, and depression is very gray.
Carl Alice played offensive line for Colorado from 2000 to 2003. Carl currently manages the Squire Lounge in Denver and has seen the darkest outcomes occur to his former teammates.
The saddest part of it is that the worst part can end in guys taking their own life, and unfortunately, 4 of my former teammates did that, and I do think that football played a major part in sort of the not having that anymore and coming to grips with it was probably the toughest thing that sort of factored in to why those guys did that.
Yeah, like I said, it's just hard to see. Just very hard to see.
Good, Judah.
Players that lose their careers to injuries also suffer greatly. These players often struggle psychologically to accept the reality of no longer being able to play.
I think it's the loss of the dream. And I think they also have these goals that they want to accomplish. They talk about wanting to leave a legacy here. They want to be remembered. And leaving with a career-ending injury is not a legacy that anybody wants to leave behind.
Football is such an emotional sport that you have to have the highs be really high and the lows be really low, and it's a constant roller coaster. Teams feed upon that. When you have this mentality of accountability and everybody buying in, when a guy goes down with like an ACL injury, you can't help but feel somewhat helpless. You see all variety of ways that guys end up coping with severe injuries.
Dave Durson took his own life, convinced that the despair he faced was caused in part by the damage he suffered on the football field.